Now is your senior year, East Chicago Roosevelt, and during that time, I think Roosevelt's gonna close down eventually, right?
Last class.
You're the last class of Roosevelt. Just give us your feelings on knowing that you can be the last class of Roosevelt, and then give us some feedback on your senior season.
Well, of course, we wanted to go out with a bang, being the last year, and East Chicago tradition, East Chicago Roosevelt rather, and it was we had a very good basketball team. We were solid from top to bottom. Me, Robbie Brundage was center at 6'7", 6'6". Al power forward at 6'5". I was small forward at 6'5". Ike was two guard at 6'3". We had a very sound team. But at that time, we still were young, still young. With as far as the playing time, I think Robbie didn't play that much, and Ike was just starting to come into his own at that time. Senior year, we turned out, we ended up doing pretty well. We won sectionals, went to the regionals, and played against Crown Point, who had John Bugles at the time, who was 6'9", ended up going to Purdue. We ended up losing by about, I think, 4 or 5 at the time in the regionals, but we ended up, we had a very good season. I think that we ended up we probably lost maybe about 4 or 5 games, but the games we lost were all close games. We ended up getting, I think Ike at the time was our leading scorer with about 16, 17 a game. Al ended up averaging about 14. I ended up averaging about 14, 7, 15, about 9 boards. Pretty much my junior and senior was pretty much the same. Everybody around me got better. It seemed like, and I pretty much stayed the same. But we end up doing very good my senior year. I think we could have did much better. But it just over time we didn't gel as fast as I thought we would, because Ike was coming on and Robbie was still transitioning too, and I guess it was just not enough balls to go around at the time. But we had a solid team, and I had a pretty good year. I think we both made, me, Al, and Ike all made all conference, first team all conference. I think we pretty much, we had 2 or 3 guys made all conference, and that was it. We had a solid year.
Okay. Now let's kind of go into your recruiting process. Far as going to college. Just give us a little feedback on what schools was were recruiting you, and why you chose to go to Danville first and then East New Mexico State.
Well, initially I had decided I was going to the Navy.
Okay.
Coming up from a single parent, I had made the choice. I just didn't want my mom to struggle, so I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to the Navy, and I think I was just one signature away. I had already took the exam, the whole 9 yards, and it was Ronnie Edmond who convinced me. Coach Edmonds was the assistant at the time. He had mentioned, he said, Billy, I think you're making a bad choice. You need to attend school, at least go on your visits. And Joey Wright, father, Joey Wright, who played at Gavitt, his father had recommended that I take a bus ride with him and some of the players who he was trying to get at junior college down in Danville. And I said, it wouldn't hurt. I ended up going to school with him, going down there to visit, and I was playing against a guy at Danville who was the All-American. He was an All-American at Danville Junior College. And I did exceptionally well guarding him at first. And at that point, it was a match made in heaven. The coach fell in love with me, and he continued to write me letters day in and day out saying, look, it'll be a good program for you, and I ended up making the choice of going there. Unfortunately, my freshman year, I had a very good freshman year. I was averaging about 16 a game. We had a guy by the name of John Gaines, was a really good guy. He went to Louisiana Tech, and I had another year to go. And my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year at Danville, we had some trouble with some local guys and got into a big brawl. Fight turned out, and I decided, I said, well, you know what, it was too much going on, and it was a team who the team had a big brawl, so somebody had to take the bulk of it, and I did. And as a sophomore, I take full responsibility of it, because at that time I should have took the leadership role and just said, hey, listen, this is my team, this is how we're going to do it, let's not get out here and fight. But at that time, I was young, hard-headed, and I end up fighting instead of trying to break the fight up. And I end up sitting my sophomore season out, and I end up going to Division II school in New Mexico, Eastern New Mexico University. Actually, me, Ike, and Al Taylor, we were all in the same conference. Played high school together and went to the same conference. Went to Eastern New Mexico, and my first season my sophomore season there was pretty good. I ended up averaging about 14, 15 a game as a sophomore, and my junior and senior year, pretty much, I kind of just lost interest, and just there participating.
How you lose interest?
Well, our coach was Larry Bird's first assistant coach at Indiana State, Earl Diddle. And, I was young. After a while, you kind of got burned out playing basketball. Didn't focus like I should have, but was still focused on getting my education, which is still most important to me. I end up playing those last 2 years and finishing up, coming home, and start working at home. It became more of a job for me, and I just kind of lost interest for the 2-a-day basketball practices and playing basketball continually all the time.
Well, I got a question for you, because you mentioned early in the interview that initially, playing basketball wasn't really a love for you. It grew on you.
Yeah.
So did you ever love the game of basketball?
Well, I did, of course. Yeah, to invest that much time in it over those years, of course, I had to. I did it just because I loved it. But as I got older, I realized there was more important things that I wanted to accomplish other than basketball. I think so many of us as young black men, we do get caught up in that dream of saying, oh, you know what, I want to be a professional athlete, basketball player, and not understanding the importance of saying, I need to get my education at the same time. And I think that's where a lot of us get lost. As young men, young black men, we don't have that foundation to where we understand what student athlete means. Being an athlete, being a student first, and getting that lambskin, that piece of paper, that degree, that's going to carry you through life. Because at some point, your basketball skills will diminish. You won't be able to play and perform at the level you're accustomed to. So sometimes, at that point in my life, I just recognized it was just something I just didn't have the fire to do anymore. And I ended up coming back home after school. I knew I wanted to coach. I thought, I said, I want to coach. I want to have something to do with the game, just to show these kids how to be better than I was, or be well-rounded, or to be a productive individual in life. It's a different time for kids nowadays. I mean, they're more challenged with so many other things and so many other coaches, influence with AAU and everything else. It's somewhat of a challenge for most kids nowadays, because you got your main focus, who's your coach, high school coach. You got your AAU coach, and you got several other people in your ear. So it's definitely a challenge for these kids nowadays, because they don't have the direction, because they're influenced by so many other people. But for us, it was a lot easier, because kids, we had one coach, we had parents at home directing us, molding us, you know, and but it's just different now. Kids